But you see, the point is that they're just not serious about what they're doing. If they were serious about it, they'd be expecting the good and only the good, because who are they asking? God.
Yeah.
Absolute love loves absolutely. And yes, someone said, well, God makes all the final judgments. Yeah. So who else would you want? Who else would you want? Absolute love? Come on. There's no such thing as dying except the body. Everything here goes. This is a virtual reality. This is a dream. You're told to dream the dream. And it also says when the people fail to dream, they start to die. Come on. If you're feeling bad, wake up, start dreaming. Look, someone says, what? You have to ask me what you're to dream? Don't you know what you want? See? If they just ask that question to themselves, what do I want? You, I can't tell you how many people I have that they don't know what they want.
I know.
And when they came in for private interviews, they sit there and badmouth themselves the first 5 minutes like they're some kind of hero for actually revealing themselves. When actually all they're doing is condemning themselves right there. And I tell them, well, why are you condemning yourself? Well, I'm just telling you what happened. Well, that's what you're doing. You're condemning yourself. And you're told not to do that. She goes, well, if we don't know, that's what I'm saying. You don't know, but you can. It's your responsibility to order your conversations right, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Well, then you're in charge, even if you're out of whack. Well, that's it. That's what people don't want to know, that they're in charge, because they don't know what they're charging. Sometimes I think it's you just hit a plug, you plug it in the wall. It's with you. Everything you've ever dreamed about is right with you. Well, who's God's all things to all, isn't he? And he
Yes.
says, I'm right here with you. I suffer with you, but you behold me not. And what is he suffering? He's suffering that he gave you permission to do the choosing. And you ain't choosing well. And he's telling you, I suffer with you, but you behold me not. Well, behold me for once. And but once you do, you'll never go back the other way. Oh, you'll slip and slide every which way, but you'll never go back. You will never be able to avoid it. It's right. It is you. So you can't avoid it forever. You have to turn to self. That's the secret. That's where it's all answered, in self, because everything out there is secondhand, right?
Absolutely.
It's all somebody's thought. What are you thinking? Just say, what are you thinking while I'm telling you? See, that's it. Even while I'm giving them, you're thinking to yourself, about what? He's nuts. Well, if I am, give me another bushel. Ah, yes. Wonderful. Ah, coffee. Don't you get some questions?
We do. We do. So in speaking of questions, the question is, you said you don't get what you want, you get what you expect. most people don't understand that even when they're moaning and groaning, that's an expectation.
Yes, yes. And all things produce after their own kind, correctly.
Absolutely.
So there you are. And it just keeps repeating itself. And the thing of it is, there's nothing transforming in death, we're told. You understand, nothing changes until you change your mind. Because God told you, choose. And you are choosing. Are you aware that you're choosing? Are you aware that you're suggesting to yourself, literally sentence after sentence after sentence, you're actually directing yourself to do something, and even if you don't like it, you see, because if you make a mindset, it doesn't really need to involve you to set itself off. A conversation with someone can cause you to start thinking about things you would not normally think about. Well, but that's what you got to watch. That's what you have to be aware of. You have to understand that what's coming from without is a mixture of positive and negative, and you have to separate it out, because if you're not separating it out, the nonsense always wins. Because that means you don't have focus.
Yeah.
And if you see yourself acting or thinking irrationally or self-demeaning in any way, stop it. Because what you're doing is you're setting yourself up for Great Depression. If you're down on yourself, boy, that's quickly. That'll happen quickly, because it draws to itself what you're feeling. As a man thinketh in his heart. That means feeling nature. How are you feeling when you're thinking certain thoughts? Getting even, vengefulness, and all of that. Hey, that's self-destruction. You can't start a war without being in a war. And you set yourself aflame all the time. It seems that you'd get pretty hot at times, wouldn't it?
It seems like it would.
Attitude awareness and imaginational control. That kind of takes care of it, doesn't it?
It does. It does.
And it's that simple. And I just tell them, keep it simple, stupid. Because that's what they told me. Keep it simple, stupid. Because I'd hear a good idea and I'd analyze it the best. And that's what people do. Well, tell me more about it. Well, tell me more about it. Well, just what does it say? Do a thing. That's it. What else do you need to know? And it says if you do the thing, you'll have the power, not a power, the power. So if you're using the power to do what you're doing, what could stop you? Is that not God going before you? If you're using His power, what? So you just stroll through, or you mix it up so bad you can't figure it out. And that's what happens. You start digging into the teaching people about stories, and then not actually giving them the wherewithal they need to pick out the parts that are the essence of the story. Because a message can seem to be one way, but if it's analyzed, you see it maybe another way. So it's always up to you to know where you're going, to know what you're hearing is a plus or a minus. What do you say?
I agree. You said something, and I want to touch on it because it's so important. You said that at one point you would hear a message and you would analyze it to dust. And then you said you would tell them, okay, do a thing and you should have the power. And they say, well, tell me more. And I think that that's what we're dealing with. So many people, they get into analyzing this teaching, that teaching, this message, that message. And instead of implementation, taking action, doing the thing so that they will have the power. They want to find out the next thing. Not that they're going to do it, but just more information.
Even though they're all telling you the truth.
Yeah.
To the best of their ability.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean they know it. You see, they're telling you about it. See, I did that for years. Oh, I know that. I didn't know that. I knew about that. But knowing about that isn't the same as knowing that. And you can know that. You can claim that. Fox wrote a book that claim. That's all. The whole book was about claiming. And that's what you do. You show up and claim your inheritance, right?
Absolutely.
It's that simple, too. And that's what it is. You have to show up. And when I say show up, that means be still and know that I'm God. That be still. That's how you show up. You're being still. You're saying, I'm on now. Hey, as long as you're serious about the approach, that's all that matters. If you're serious about it, it'll be added to you. Whatever you're thinking about, so sit down and think serious for a change. No, really. I thought I was doing it right, only to discover that it wasn't. I wasn't getting any results. But the thing of it is, it didn't take me long to find out I wasn't getting results. But people will go to church for 40 years and not get any results and still not think that they think they're getting help, but they're blaming themselves for not receiving it. Because they don't tell you that you don't need us, we need you.
Yeah.
I'll hear about that one.
Well, you know what? I like that you said, listen, for years, I found myself, I wasn't doing it right. But what I discovered was how I knew that I wasn't getting it right was I wasn't getting the results. And that's very profound for the listener. If you're not getting the results, no matter who it is that you're listening to, you're going to have to reevaluate, check out the information, and then try something new. But don't get stuck in only one way of doing it by any teacher, no matter how great they are. If what they're teaching you isn't working for you, try something else.
You could not be another person.
Yeah.
See, and if you won't be you, then you ain't nobody.
Yeah.
See, and that's a bad place to be in. Yeah. When you're not even on your own side. Every time I think about that, I just smirk. A little smirk was on his face. But it was true.
Yeah.
Actually, at first, it actually kind of annoyed me. But then I did go, I took my own advice. I went home and I sat in the silence and I was thinking about it. And suddenly, yeah, I wasn't on my side. But you see, the thing of it is that you have to come to that point to where you realize it. If someone's telling you that you're not on your own side, they're hearing something you're not hearing, even though it's coming out of your mouth, right?
Absolutely.
So you got to be on your own side. That's all there is to it. Because if you're not, then in other words, it's like going around not paying attention to what you're doing, and you're leaving yourself vulnerable to be somebody's prey.
Yeah.
And believe me, they look for the people who aren't paying attention.
They do.
And they're good at finding the right ones.
Absolutely.
See, because you see, you can develop any skill, even though it's rotten. You can still develop any skill as long as you're thinking about it. Ideas that'll fulfill itself in that whatever you're thinking about. will fulfill itself, and you'll experience it. You're always thinking ahead of your evidence. Remember that. If you don't remember nothing, you're always thinking ahead of your evidence. So what are you thinking? See that? If you just keep asking yourself, what am I thinking all day long? Yeah, okay. See, you find you're thinking about something that's detrimental to your health, welfare, and whatever, stop it.
Yeah.
Come on, just stop it. You can only think one thought at a time, right?
Absolutely.
See how many times I've heard him say that you only think one thought at a time. And that's scientifically proven. You can still only think one thought at a time. And if you're choosing that thought, we're assuming you're choosing what you want. So if you're choosing, you're okay. Just follow through with it. Open it and quicken it. That's what Neville would say all the time. Open it and quicken it. Hey, and all of this I'm telling you came from Neville's teachings. All of it. I've expanded certain areas that I learned more than he did on that subject, but then we aren't the same person, so we wouldn't be naturally feeling the same subject all at the same time. So, but anyway, you can't copy somebody else.
Yeah.
You're an individual, and God does not make duplicates. He look at the trees. And now you can go through the whole forest. You can find two leaves that are same, because God don't make doubles. So you're that individual to God, and He tells you, God's all of you. Start acting like it. Take your responsibility sometime, right?
Absolutely. And that's exactly what I was about ready to say. The acting like is the choosing or the taking the responsibility. Once you start doing that, you will transform your world. And it's as simple as that. Don't complicate it. Just start. You ask the question week after week, can you choose your next thought? Then don't stop.
That's it. Don't stop. That's it. Whether you're thinking it or speaking it outward, it still sends out a vibration. And that vibration will go until it finds a like vibration, and then it expands that idea. So if it's an idea you don't want to experience, then you don't want to start expanding it, because that's what you're told, to be in the world, but not to be of the world, because they think kind of weird things. It's funny, but every time I sit and think about this, I get giddy.
Yeah.
I mean, I start seeing the laugh side of life, because not too many people do enough laughing.
Yeah.
They don't really enjoy themselves to a gut laugh, It's a hee hee hee. So you know right away who's enjoying life.
Yeah.
They go, hey. It's all about attitude.
Yeah.
And but and when people say, well, yeah, they did that to me. No, they did that to you, but you had to accept it. You see, even God won't move in your direction until you give him permission, because he gave you choose this day. And whatever you're choosing, he's not going to interfere with it. He'll let you suffer whatever you choose.
Yeah.
And that's what most of the world is doing, suffering what they're choosing. But they don't realize that. They got all kinds of excuses, justifications, reasons why they're where they are. And it isn't true at all. They themselves are makers of themselves. Had they thought different, they'd be living different, right?
Absolutely. The thing is, you say often that, God's not going to intervene. And it's so true because, of course, you are the God acting, living, moving being. And so it's funny that even if God tried to intervene, we would fight so hard for our limitation that we would be like Jacob fighting against God and he wouldn't stand a chance.
No, no, but you're standing right in front of the portal. It is liberty. And you can fulfill yourself and feed upon the liberty that you're feeding yourself, thinking, feelingly. But you have to choose it. You see, you have to choose it. What are you choosing? What you're experiencing is what you have chosen.
Absolutely.
And if you ain't happy with it, then go back and look at what you were saying that got you there and change it and see if it doesn't take you somewhere else. And that's what people should be doing when they go to church. You're telling me to do this, to do this, to do this, and you're doing it, and then nothing happens. Then you're not getting the right message. You're not looking at it right.
Yeah.
You're not feeling after it right, because feeling is the secret. What are you feeling? That's why it says think feelingly. That's what your world is. You thinking feelingly. Attitudes. What are your attitudes? They direct your thinking generally, don't they?
Absolutely.
Well, so if you got a rotten attitude, you I only say that because I had a lot of them.
Yeah.
And they were very difficult to get rid of.
It's true. When you believe that they're part of you, said something about thinking and attitude. And I think that most of us don't understand that the world isn't what we think that it is, but what we think it is.
You got it. That's it. That's exactly what they're doing. And you keep trying to tell them that that's what they're doing. And they don't realize they're on all the time.
Yeah.
You see, but yet we're telling them to be alone in the silence and feel after what it is that they've heard. Because, I know that people don't, if by the time we had a session and they get up and go home, did they even get home?
Yeah.
With 5% of them?
Yeah.
You see, well, when I was a kid, they said you had 10%. We only use 10% of our mental ability.
Yeah.
And here we are today, and they're telling us it's 1/10 of 1%. And well, there were 3.2 billion people in the world when I started giving these talks. Now there's 7.2 billion people in the world. Now, how many heard what I heard? And how many are taking it serious? And how many, although they usually do file it in a serious mode. You see, I agreed with what I was hearing. When I went Neville's lecture, I agreed with what he was saying 100%. But I didn't put it into operation. You see, I'd say, I believe that. Yeah. Yeah, I believe what he said. No, he believed it. I only knew about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And even that is tough. Just knowing that you've been only thinking about it, not from it. And you see, that's what you're here to do. You're here to direct your thinking and feeling, because your thinking and feeling is your life of experiencing, right?
Absolutely. Well, the challenge you spoke of, you said you heard what he said, but he believed it. And of course, that's why he was experiencing it. One of the challenges I have with teaching these principles is getting people to live the principles by encouraging them to live the principles and they say, well, Neville said, don't lift a finger. So they have a mindset that says the only thing they have to do is think about it, but they don't have to be about it. And
Oh, the lazy people think, whoa,
absolutely,
he just
absolutely.
gave me a red light. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That hit me. Yeah, you see, because they think they have to give things up,
Yeah,
and believe me, what you think you're giving up is like anything, because well, what it'll be replaced with is much grander stuff. Believe me. But the thing of it is, the reason why I celebrate the people who are 80, 90, 100 years old and they're going to school to get a diploma. And someone says, well, what's up for what? But there's nothing transforming in death. So you see, any improvement you make this time, you have with you automatically starting off the next time.
mm-hmm.
And it's one state of consciousness after another state of consciousness because there is only consciousness. That's what God is. God is consciousness of being. And he's being us. You see, he's all things to all things. He's only. See, be careful how you ask, really, because you're given permission and you're given choice. But why not choose something better? I can't imagine you talk to someone and they couldn't imagine a better thought than they had before. I know they can think better,
Of course they can.
and that's all you're asked to do. You're only asked to make a choice. That's all. He didn't say nothing about doing it. Now, as like I said, Jesus said, "I myself can do nothing. It's the Father within me." Well, it's the Father within you too. So what are you choosing? And then they choose something wrong and they're blaming God.
Yeah,
And he goes, "Oh, well." See, that's how he separated himself
yeah.
from the drama because he couldn't do anything that we would do. And yet, if he didn't do it, it wasn't done. But he did it on our word, not his.
Yeah.
He gave subconscious mind the job of raking in all the dirt or throwing it out, whichever.
Okay.
But that's what we have to do too, isn't it?
It is. So, what would you say to the listener in closing?
Be single-minded. Until you get there, nothing really starts. Not in earnest.
Yeah,
Really, isn't that true?
it is true. I mean, as you were talking about it, I was really pondering the depths of, making a decision, being single-minded, and making that choice and sticking with it. Most people are so scattered, though, that that's very difficult for them.
Oh yeah, sure. And I even have my scattered moods
Yeah,
because see, as long as you have this body, see that's a lot to deal with if you're doing it properly,
yeah,
and nobody does because it should certainly last more than 100 years.
yeah,
So in other words, we're all committing suicide.
yeah.
Anytime we do anything against the system, you're bringing about your death.
Your demise.
And when the people fail to dream, they start to die.
Yeah,
See, you don't have the right mindsets if you're thinking negative to yourself, or that you're being treated negative, or that I don't know. It's easy to give up.
it is.
Of course, it's a trade off. You got to watch those trade offs. You ain't doing it this way. You wind up doing it that way.
Yeah. But you will do it one way or the other. You will do it.
Yes, that's the beauty of it. You see, people tell me, "Oh, God created a miracle." No, no, no. You created it yourself,
Yeah.
and you actually can create a miracle yourself because He gave you. You can choose a miracle, can't you?
Absolutely.
He gave you choice. Why don't you just choose to know? It's that simple. Hey, I choose to know. And the more you know, well, when you learn something new, it always opens up a door to something else
It
to
does.
learn, enough something else to learn. And that's what it is: self in risen.
Absolutely.
See, so like I say, I applaud those people who go, I didn't go. It isn't really necessary. I mean, believe me, I hear people all the time talk about how scripture is just not meant to be understood by the individual man, but that's not so.
Yeah.
It was definitely it definitely gave you certain ideas that you can't get around. In other words, there's only God. He's all things to all, does all things. What else do you need to know?
Yeah.
Just follow what his lead is, and you can't miss it. You follow your own lead, and
In a ditch. In a ditch. Well, sir, it's been a pleasure.
oh, it always is. It always is. I so look forward to this.
Likewise.
Thank
Likewise. Sir, talk to you later. People just want to know what you did to be successful.
The 4 CDs that I have out there, it's all there. If you took any one of the CDs and actually followed through on what you understood there, you could change your mind, change your world. All you have to do is just listen to the CDs. It's always reiteration and reiteration.
I want to go back to the 4 CD set. Go to metaphysicalarttheater.com. We can only mail in the U.S. right now, but for those who are outside the U.S., we can send you a digital bundle with everything, so you'll get the enjoyment without waiting for it in the mail. Matter of fact, those who are in the U.S., if you would rather have the digital copies, we can do that as well. metaphysicalarttheater.com.